What's up, everybody? I am back with a reaction video. Streaming kind of late because I slept most of the day awake. I was just exhausted. You know, all yesterday. Worked out. Then, uh, did like a bunch of videos. So, like I spent on the entire day just very active. So, probably won't be streaming any games today, so I'll just push it to Sunday. Getting back to Resident Evil and Digimon. Probably should get through Digimon, sooner, so I can wrap that up. I've been saying I'm gonna wrap that up, but I will, because I need to do like a review on that pretty soon. I'm gonna give my overall thoughts. But anyway, this one is going to relatively be a quick video, but it's something that was out for a long time, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about. Anaconda. God, I can't help but think about that old school cartoon. Akana and her video about dating women made me understand men. So I want to check this out. I'm gonna give I want you guys to check out her channel. I want to make sure to give like the proper respect and credit where it's due to videos that I react to. Follow me on links in the description below, such as my YouTube and my Twitch, as I stream games, react to videos, and review content. Anyway, without further ado, let's check out her video.
So as you may remember, I came out as bisexual last year, and since then I have been dating women. And what I found very fascinating is that the more I date women, the more I find myself understanding heterosexual men. Let me explain. Exhibit A. I was on a first date with a girl who asked me out, by the way, this is relevant, because when the check came, she never once made a move to pay. Not even like the fake, let me reach for my purse move. And though I don't mind paying on a date, part of me felt like, the offer would have been nice. I was also a little taken aback that she didn't even say thank you. And I never heard from her again. It really made me feel like she just asked me out so she could have a free dinner.
Bingo! Exactly. The constant worry with guys, because you never know until you're in the thick of it. That's why the wiser guys have to tell the more naive guys, or of the certain red pill videos, tell guys that when it comes to the first date, don't go all out. That's dumb. We can't do that. You probably should have never done that. But it's not like the days of old where you can count on the first date being something like dinner and that'll been that, and the woman being appreciative and etc. etc. There's too many girls trying to finesse guys. Too many girls who already have some dude that she's hooking up with, but ain't gonna be doing all those niceties for her, but she's really attracted to, but she still needs that boyfriend treatment from somewhere. So she'll like go through the guy she doesn't really find sexually appealing, but she knows she can get that boyfriend treatment from, and don't have to worry about paying out of pocket, because it's just expected for the guy to pay for a meal. Because it's like, you can ask any girl, if she's out with her girlfriends, sure, they'll divvy up the money equally. Or if there's even one guy in that group, then he'll probably paying the bulk, if not all of the money, because they all just look towards that guy. Or guys, if they're all on a group date, no girl end up paying. So guys have to constantly worry, is this girl here for me because I generally want to be there for her because I'm dating with attention. So that's why like I made that video around like Valentine's Day where the guy's taking this girl out to McDonald's and she just all for it because she's there for him. But it's too many girls like, you know, giving me attitude because you took her to a cheesecake factory. Like, you know, it's funny like how like and so many ladies want guys to communicate more or express themselves or being vulnerable and tell like you know, share with us. And when we do, it falls on deaf ears or we're looked at as being like insensitive or insecure, all these little buzzwords. Clearly you're not listening to us. So that's why guys don't even express themselves, because it falls on deaf ears because you're in a privileged, so many women are in a privileged position to, you know, not deal with the bad end of things when it comes to dating a female. But I'm glad this lady, you know, made this video about this.
And the moment I thought that, I was like, oh my God, I sound like all of my guy friends right now. And my argument against why guys should pay for dates has always been like, look, girls take hours to get ready. Our investment is looking really nice for you. Makeup, clothes, that costs money too. But we were both girls in this situation. We both took hours to get ready, so I definitely felt slighted.
And I'm tired of that excuse. I think a lot of guys are tired of that excuse. Yes, it is an excuse. Because just because you're gonna do, you guys do makeup and, you know, fix your hair and all this little cutesy stuff. Y'all do that almost all the time for redundant stuff. So he's gonna do that irregardless. Just because, unless like you put on you break open the emergency glass of a special brand of makeup, unless you're doing something like that, it's really, it means nothing. And besides, just because you buy all these expensive piles of makeup, which most guys don't really care, you just, you know, you don't need to paint your face like the Joker, you know, to go out. Just, you know, less is more in most guys' opinion. But guys, we tend to make sure we, you know, put on our best fit. We make sure that we are well groomed and, you know, get like a fresh new haircut, or if you got locks, redo it or something like that. And just in case like things get, you know, really go really well, we make sure, you know, our home's looking nice. We make sure that, you know, if we got a car, like make sure the ride is, you know, looking good and all the interior is nothing, you know, crazy looking on the inside. Guys have to, you know, make sure we have to prepare, you know, properly too. We cannot go out looking raggedy while the girl's looking good. That'd be dumb. So it's, you know, just much effort, but we don't use that excuse of like, I did all this stuff. So like, can you imagine how insulting would be as a woman for a guy to say, well, I, you know, I went and got my locks redone for you, so why can't you put out? You know how insulting that would sound? Because it will be insulting. Because, like, no dude would fix his mouth to say something that dumb.
Exhibit B. On another date, I went back to a girl's house and I ended up making friends with her cat. That's not a pun. I'm talking about her literal, actual animal. And she said, wow, my cat never likes anyone. I better go out and buy a wedding dress. And again, I felt like I got some serious perspective. I have been guilty of making these kinds of jokes on dates with men. I never really thought anything of it. I was just being silly. But then when I was on the receiving end of it, I suddenly understood the panic. And finally, Exhibit C. One girl invited me back into her house, and her specific words were, do you want to come in and make out? obviously I'm like, yeah, you're really pretty. I want to press my face to yours. But then when we got there, we both just sat on the couch and she talked till like 3 a.m. And I was like, yo girl, I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. I was told there would be kisses here. There are no kisses. And like, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole. Like, I don't mind talking. I love talking. But she could have said, do you want to come in and just talk? And I would have had totally different expectations for the evening. You know, finally I started falling asleep and I was like, hey, I gotta go. And I gave her one kiss and left. And I felt sad that the amount of kisses promised did not equal the amount of kisses delivered. And once again, I felt like a dude who was upset that I did not receive the expected physical kisses I was promised.
Yeah. Now, of course, guys have to, take into account that will be a possibility that she can just up and change her mind or not do it. And we gotta live with that. But also, yeah, ladies don't, some ladies don't say what they mean and mean what they say. Ladies on your part, you gotta be very mindful of that. If you tell a guy a specific wording, don't try to say like, oh, I was meaning something else, or read between the lines. Don't do anything. Like, if you say like, hey, you want to go upstairs and make out, whether you're dating a man or a woman, stick to your word, okay? But you using that specific words to draw them up, the only thing you do is pretty much trying to set them up as like an emotional punching bag. It's pretty much like laying your, like, like what's going on in your, like, day the other day, and you're dumping all of that on that person. On the, I don't know what the example she had was like the first or second date. Usually it's something like that. It's probably maybe like second or third date, but it's just like, it's too much early on in the dating phase, because that kind of dynamic is when like the relationship is already solidified, where I expect a girl to start laying like her issues on me after a certain period of time. It's like, oh, your day was like X, Y, and Z, and you just gotta sit there and just listen. But during the dating phase, that stuff is awkward as hell. And also, you will feel kind of slighted, because like you tell us one thing, we'll have that expectation in our mind. We're geeked up and ready, but then we end up being disappointed and getting blue balls or blue ovaries in her case, because kissing, I mean, it could just be kissing, but kissing can almost always lead to getting to third base. But it's just it's a trip on a guy's end of things that girls don't have the expectations of. They always, early on, always in a very privileged position until they have to be in a guy's shoes. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of lesbians out there who understand this more, like, more so than her, who's just, I won't want to say just, I mean, at the time of when she recorded this, she's just coming to a realization of her sexual orientation. So now a light bulb just pretty much went off in her head, and it's like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, and then I'm pretty sure she probably had to apologize to a lot of guys that, she probably still know and dated and not dated anymore, or guys that she knew that was in this position and probably like got more of a clarity. I think ladies need to see this video and it's like, oh my God, maybe I need to readjust how I move when it comes to the dating phases, and say what I mean and mean what I say, so that way I don't mislead anybody and then get mad at him because he thought something that, in one way because I said this particular thing.
And I wanted to talk about this because I felt like this has really been expanding my perspective when it comes to dating. I finally understand a lot of the complaints my male friends have about dating that I admit I would usually dismiss. But now I really get it when they say, dating is just so expensive, man.
Sometimes I feel like a girl doesn't even like me for me. She just wants, like, a boyfriend.
I wish it were more socially expected to go Dutch on the first few dates, but you're like a jerk if you even suggest it. And any experience that expands your compassion and understanding is one that I think is worthy of sharing. So what about you? Have you had any experiences that have shifted your viewpoint dramatically? Let me know. I'm Anna Akana, and thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like all the woes of the guy's worldview of life is like foreign to a lot of women until they have to be in those guys' shoes. Matter of fact, two examples here outside of this. There was a moments where girls try to create a dating profile, whether it's Tinder or Hinge or whatever, and try to do so, as like a guy, doing the stuff that they think will entice women and get like a flood of messages from girls or whatever. And they try to, and is like a desert. And it completely blew their mind on how like all the things that they thought will work, that all the advice they try to give dudes to try to do in their profile, thinking that, oh, we're not getting nobody's matching with us, and lots of girls thought we were like probably not doing X, Y, and Z, and thought we were tripping until they tried it and they get super disappointed, super jaded, ticked off by these other girls that's not like doing and responding despite all the different ways they try to get a girl to match, and utterly failing, because as research shows, women swipe right so minor of times compared to the multitude of times guys swipe. Because if you watch the whatever podcast, they tested it out plenty of times that all these girls, only between each of them, they probably say yes to maybe like 3 or 4 out of 20 dudes. And most of those dudes seem legit, like decent looking dudes that you would think they would like immediately say yes on, but no, they just, granted, there are a couple of cases where guys be like taking pictures and they got their camera in front of their face and you can't tell who they are. That is kind of dumb, but there were still plenty of other guys that actually look like, okay, a girl will swipe right on this clearly, but no, it's like no, it's so like, I don't know what's going on ahead, because I guess me being a guy, it seems so simple and cut and dry, but it goes to show the complicated nature of the woman's mind, where something that seems obvious is always something minor that they kind of hyper focus on and roll out the entire guy over that minor focus. But then there's like another example, a little bit darker, where a woman ended up unaliving herself because she dressed up and pretended to be a dude. I'm not sure it was a day or two. It was like at least like a short window of time, probably maybe a week max. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact length of time she tried it. But she tried being a guy for a while, and she could not handle it. It was like, because I think it was a video about it. I think she tried to do stand up as a guy, and you know, it was at one point. It's been a while, but long short of it is, she tried living the life of a guy, and all those little womanly privileges that was just bestowed upon her just for the sake of her being a woman, once that all was stripped away, that little power high that most women be on it, they don't realize that all those little wonderful privileges, once that is stripped away and you're actually even killed as a man, your brain, just kind of like had to, it breaks your worldview. Uh, your reality is torn asunder, and she, clearly was so upset. She kind of like, left this earthly plane of existence because of the difficulty of being a guy. Now, I'm not saying like, guys' life is like so like horrendous or anything like that. It's not like crazy extreme, but it's just certain things that us guys deal with on a daily basis that we just pretty much gotten used to since we were toddlers. So we kind of grew up, got thicker skin, and understand the real world essentially, instead of this like delusional aspect that most women live in, where they can say or do multiple dumb stuff, or they can pick and choose whatever they want to do, but if something doesn't pan out, there's always somebody to come swoop in and save them. But once that is stripped away, it's like, oh my god, what are we going to do? It's just, yeah, or even like something as simple as a girl won't understand the plight of a man until they have a son of their own, where now they got to worry about all the kind of women that they know finessing her own son. Because when it's, because she would probably have no problem doing, all the finessing when it comes to other guys, and not think about this is probably somebody's son, then like I'm just doing this horrendous thing to, or mistreating, or talking disrespectfully to, or whatever. Now they're in a position where it's like, if you think about the kind of stuff that you pulled as a woman, would you want a girl like me doing something like that to my own son, who I raised to be a good mannered, well-mannered man? I don't want some woman who could easily ruin his livelihood, all the accomplishments he built up, the education, and all the stuff that I made sure he has, worked towards to, it is at his beck and call, and then some crazy lady who just bats her little eyes and just locks in, and then can at a whim ruin his reputation with like an accusation or something like that. They won't understand until they in that position. Then it's like, okay, women can be kind of messed up. There's a dark side to that we gotta curve, be wary of, all that stuff. That has to be looked out for. So, anyway, that's just my thoughts. It's like, girls need to be a lot more sympathetic / empathetic on the guy's end of life, because most guys have to be sympathetic of women because we're the ones doing the pursuing. We have to get to know, but also just know women in general, that they're a lot softer. They're very much more sensitive than guys. There's a certain way of treating them. We gotta learn certain of these things early on in our lives, compared to girls who don't really aren't really taught how to treat men in their early years of life. So when they grow up, that's why a lot of them are so entitled, or get confused on how to treat men, or especially their husbands, because nobody taught them early on. This is the expectation, what you are going into when getting in a relationship or even a marriage. So this kind of thing need to be like instructed to a lot of girls early on, so when they become adults, they move proper. Even if they decide to date women, they can still move proper because it's just a level of courtesy, you know? Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time for another reaction video. And once again, follow Anna and her channel. Seem like pretty cool. Let's see if there's any other videos that she made that I could easily react to. But anyway, I'll see y'all soon. Take care.